Okay, folks, good morning. Saturday morning edition of Painting Stuff Up. All right. Got maybe an hour and a half with us this morning. We're going to have that's about how long the session should be. Going to be going out of town, so I'm not going to have a painting session tomorrow morning. And I'm going to have kind of a short one today. So, but I did want to get some painting done, because I haven't been able to paint all week. All right. So this is where we left off last time with the cavalry. And we're going to just keep going, trying to finish up the rest of these guys. We'll set these guys off to the side, out of the way here. And we got our next two candidates. Now these guys are complete except for, the minor things that we had to do on the other ones. Which is mainly the horse tails and the shields. So that's what we're going to do that. Jules, welcome. Chilly West Wales. It's chilly here too. It is, what is it? 40 degrees, which it can be 40 degrees at this time every morning, as far as I'm concerned, but it's a rare event here. It's cold and wet. It's just how I like it. Actually, I don't know if it's that wet. It was a couple days ago. So this is what we're going to do. We've got some ideas for shields that we've been percolating. And that's what we're going to do. All right, let's take this thing down and see what kind of a mushroom I'm growing in here. I'm not going to switch this out just yet. No, we're still all right. See what kind of a science experiment is growing there. All right, so let me get over here on the old Pinterest. And I won't be over there long. I just need to bring this thing up. I find Pinterest is a really good place for me to put things that I've found of interest in and have access to them from everywhere. Just have to figure out where no, that's not it. Here he is. Some things are easier on your phone, and this happens to be one of them. But we can't do that right this second. Okay. Alright, one guy has a light bluish one, and one of them has a red one. Let's see, does that work with either one of these two things? I'll do the red one with him. Alright. Okay. Back. So what's left to do on this guy? We've got some the things you put your feet in, stirrups. We got stirrups to do, and his shield, and the horsetail. All right, let's just jump in the horsetail. Let's go ahead and do that. It's actually pretty cold in the house. I don't run the heater worth a damn. It costs money and it's bad for you. As it is, I've had kind of a minor cough now for a couple weeks. And I think it's just due to the heater and being so dry. All right, let's take these off. As I like to say, let me take my glasses off so I can see. And we need the magic juices here. See if we got any left. Yeah, a little bit. All right. This is crick-crocked. There we go. So there won't be any painting tomorrow. I'm going to be out of town. And there's probably not a video next week because Mitch is not available. So you guys just have to hold on to your seats if that's what you were looking forward to. I think he said he's got somebody coming in town. He's not available. So it might be an off week. We'll take a gaming bye. Just go over the tail. We're going to do this one pretty dark. I know we didn't use this brown, but I'm going to go ahead and use that notification. What's going on here? Okay, I have full internet. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's see if the sound is okay. It looks like the sound's all right. This is why I paint, folks. I'm not a computer guy. Just got a notification that okay, that's charging, and it's at 100%. All right, let me make sure. Let's keep this going on the computer. Let me turn the phone off and restart it again and see if that's what does it. And then let me start it on here. Okay, let's try that and see if that. If it likes that. Okay, I think I just fixed it. This happened to me about a couple months ago, and it looked like the camera was running, but it wasn't. So now here's the only thing. I don't know if it switched the camera or not. So let's make sure. Jack Daniels, you can see it, and you can't. So there we go. All right, let's try that. Back at it. So what I was saying when the technology rudely interrupted me was that when you start a project, worst thing you can do is stop it. So stick with it. You know, I'm always tempted to work on something else, but I'm not working on anything else until these damn Wallachians are done. Because otherwise, the time you spend on them is wasted. And I've done it. It's not like I'm not guilty of that. I got a figure here. Here's a Muslim Indian. I painted one figure. I was happy with him, and then I went on to something else. So here he sits. I've got 5 figures of my Athenians. They're not complete. I've got 2 or 3 stands of Imperial Roman East that I started working on probably a decade ago and just got sidetracked. Well, what happens is I'll have some kind of a goal to do. I got to get this army done by a certain time for a certain event. It's usually for a certain event. And it looks like I'm not going to be able to make it to the end of the event. So I've just given up. And by the time I give up, I'll start working on the next event. It's a different army. So I've tried to avoid doing that. So, okay, I don't care if I don't get them done by a certain event. This is the next army I'm going to have complete. Because then I don't have these one stand here, one stand there of figures that I wasted my time painting and don't have anything to show for it. And it's not like I had a bad experience painting them or I didn't like the figures or something like that. It was just I got sidetracked and I decided to start over instead of stick with it. So that's why I think this period of no gaming conventions has been good for me because I'm just painting the next thing. I don't have to have them done by a certain time, so. But having a couple stands or a couple figures done, am I going to go back to painting the Athenians? Who knows? That was before Mitch was here. So had he been here, I would have never painted him to begin with because he already has lots of those armies. Not that I dislike them in and of themselves, but it just doesn't make sense to work on something that the people you play with frequently already have a lot of. So, now if you're a person that paints that buys painted armies, yeah, you kind of have to buy whatever's out there. So that explains why the boys have several 100 Years' War English armies. That's what people were selling. But I would never go out and paint a 100 Years' War English army. Not because I dislike them. It's just that I know several people that have them. So why should I waste my painting time, which is finite, and focus on something that people already have lots of? So it helps if you work together as a group. No point working against each other when you can have a greater variety of stuff. But yeah, no painting tomorrow, no gaming next week. So you could thank Mitch for that one. I'm available, he's just not. My Monday workload was too easy is really what it is. He's waiting until my workload is crazy. Sure seems like it's that way. Anyhow, there'll be more games. Okay. I gotta be careful. I did this the other day. I can't have that cup there. Okay. Stirrup time. Let's grab this same color. And it's just so difficult to paint in the middle of the week. I mean, by the time I get started, it would be like 8 p.m. and I'm just not motivated to start something at 8 p.m. Been trying to watch a series that I saw. God, I don't say it's that long ago. I want to say I saw it maybe 4 years ago. I don't remember jack shit about it. And it's actually a series that Mitch had bought. I'm pretty sure I saw it with him. and then it came on Amazon. It's been on Amazon for a little while. And I'm like, let me give this a. And I don't like to rewatch things because, if I remember what's going to happen, but man, I don't remember anything about it. It's this series called Generation War. It's a three-part. It's like three movies basically, because I think they're each like a couple hours long. So it's like 6 hours, and it follows these five characters that are in Germany at the like in 1941. It's almost like a young adult type movie, although it's not really geared for kids. But I don't remember anything about it, and it's trying to work my way through it. I think I'm almost through the second episode. I don't know. I keep falling asleep. It's kind of hard for me to watch TV at the end of the day, but I don't really rewatch things because I remember how they end, and there's a few things I have seen now that's happened. I've rewatched them because I don't remember how they ended, and wasn't what I remembered. But I'm not a big movie person, anyways. I'm not one of those people that remembers lines, and I'm good with dates. I'm not good with lines from movies unless they're really, really memorable. Because I don't rewatch things multiple times. There's not much point in me buying a DVD. I'm not going to rewatch it. Okay, so that's done. So he's got a shield, and we're going to do his red shield that has like a yellow stripe and a couple of stars on it. So it has a diagonal yellow stripe and a couple of stars. Looks like it'd work okay. And like I said, if I don't like how it looks, I'll just redo it. So let me go back to Pinterest, make sure that's still up. Did it close it out for me? Dadgummit. It should be right up here. Should be and is are two different things. Let's see. Why is this so not easy to use? I got to click on my face and then look at the category. Got it. Come on. You could do it. And this clown right here. Almost looks like it's flowers. All right, we'll give him a couple flowers. All right, red. We'll use the scarlet, not the red. Has a little bit more orange in it. Yeah, I don't remember things very much if I watch. Like for instance, I remember seeing. Oh, that was the internet doing weird shit. Well, hopefully I don't get disconnected here, folks. I'm not really sure what the problem is. I'm not sure what the. Must be gremlins from the Kremlin. Take some of this paint out while I'm thinking about it. But anyways, I'd seen this miniseries maybe 10 years ago, and I don't remember anything about it. About time to watch that again, I guess. Might end up painting some wing hussars if I do that, so I got to be careful. Not ready to do that just yet. Now here it shows the little video moving. What about here? Yeah, the video's moving here. I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to keep plugging along. And now the bottom's not moving. I hate this kind of stuff. It drives me bananas. I don't know why anybody would go into technology and shit like that. I end up shooting somebody. Start it the same way each time. It says excellent connection, but let's see if this fixed it. I'm really not sure what the problem is. Other people don't have these problems and they have really useless content. Okay. Waiting on connection. Why is waiting on connection? All right, let me do something. Let's turn this off. Okay. Now why on Saturdays? Why on a Saturday when I have such little time? Let's see. All right. Yeah, you got to be a sadist to be into this stuff. Like technology and this shit. You do the same thing, one day it doesn't work. They do it again, and then it doesn't work again. And you try it again, and then it does work. And you didn't do anything different. I don't have the personality type for that. So, this patience of painting things really slowly, this is no patience at all. This is relaxing. The patience of not murdering somebody when all that kind of technology stuff doesn't work, yeah, that's the patience of a saint right there. I couldn't do it. And I know several people that are into that IT and that kind of. I'm not made for that. I don't have the personality for it. Technology changes too fast. There's all kinds of stuff that I find unsavory involved in that. I'm going to leave the back of the shield in dark red. I don't feel like having yet another back of the shield that's in wood colored. This horse is wood colored enough. Don't need more of that. Alright, we've given this thing a basic coat of red. Let's go up a little bit more before we add the yellow. Just on the front side. Because what we're going to do on the back side is we're just going to add some white to it and highlight it. So it's a way to get another color out of the same mix. And I'm sure the white's dead. We'll need to get another little bit right there. The Gremlins from the Kremlin. Or as I like to say, the Taliban are at it again. I don't know, I hadn't heard about from those guys in a long time, but I don't really watch the news, so the news has to come find me. Those that are suffering the things the news is bringing them. I don't know what the hell's going on in the world. It's probably better that way. What the latest thing they want you to be worried about is. Not this guy. All right, let's get the old yeller out. And unfortunately, none of them are worth a damn. None of these yellows are worth a damn. I guess the stream's working okay. Guess somebody would have said something by now. I'm sure this thing's clogged. This yellows are weird. They're a combination of paint that's too watery and doesn't cover well with thickness that covers up the nozzle. It's just really strange. But it is what they are. They all seem to be the same. I know somebody who claims that they have a really good yellow. I don't believe them. We're going to be, I think that's enough. We don't need to go crazy. We're going to mix it with a little brown for the first color. We can use a mid-grade, just not chocolate, something a little bit lighter than that. I mean, any of them will work. This beige brown should be fine. Yeah, they claim they have a good brown yellow that covers well. I don't believe them. I don't think any of them cover well. Some people say cover it with white. No, just takes a few more coats. It's not a big deal. I like my painting method. I'm not here to change anybody or be changed. All right. Oh, we got a comment. Good, maybe the stream's working. Nordic Maelstrom. Well, there's a name for a band. Jules, I have you beat here in Pennsylvania. Temperature feels like -4. Yeah, Pennsylvania is beautiful, but I wouldn't want to deal with it in this weather. I don't want to shovel anything. All right, we're going to drop a line from this corner to the bottom corner, which is not really a corner. It's kind of rounded. So we're just going to if you're going to paint like a line, don't paint it as thick as you want it to, and don't paint it as wide as you want it to, because invariably you're not going to get it exactly how you want it. So you're going to have to tinker with it. You're going to have to go a little bit more in one direction, a little bit more to fill it in. So if you've already gone the thickness that you want, now you've got to go back and fill in with a different color. So at least that's what works for me. Okay. Now, I think they were little flowers is what it was. So we're going to have to do our own way. Correct. They're in the center portion of each one of those. And 1, 2, 3, maybe 6. All right, so we're going to do our own stylized flower there. Got it. This is the kind of stuff I like to do. Is painting up shields and stuff. The stuff that freaks a lot of people out. So let's just get so we get some good flow in here. And we're going to put a center dot on each flower. So the center of one flower is going to be, I don't want to use a smaller brush because I want to just end up stippling these things. And it's not going to be perfect. We're going to have to clean it up somewhat. We're going to put one there. And we're going to put another one here. Okay, so we got 2 dots. Uh-oh. Before I get started, let me read this dissertation. Let's see here. Technically live in a subtropical climate here in eastern Pennsylvania. We have stupidly cold weather and stupidly hot and humid weather too. And they would make a great power metal band. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually discovered. I found out about it a couple years ago. What is it? What do they call it? Folk metal? No, it's called something else because the name folk would just turn me off. There's certain trigger words that would keep me from listening to something, and folk would be it for me. It was Celtic, I know one of them. So there's I like that stuff without vocals. So there's several things on YouTube I've listened to when I was working on I think it was my Irish. Okay, so now we've added 2 smaller dots. We're going to do the little leafices on here. And it's all about pacing. You want to pace yourself. You want to make sure that where you're going to start the things are in the correct proportion you want. Okay. Look at that flower down there at the bottom. And then, of course, we're going to fill that in with a brighter color and the brighter red around it as well. It almost looks flesh-colored. It won't stay that color. Anything you're doing, like if you're painting a lion or something like that, you got to break it down into smaller shapes so that you can get everything proportioned in the right, and then you can go and start filling it in. At least that's what works for me. I've painted several lines and things I've painted several things that I would say are very complicated for most people. That would stress people out. And you just got to pace yourself and get the proportions right. Because if you try doing the cleanup, which invariably there's going to be some to do, and the proportions are wrong, there's nothing you can do about it. Well, check this out. Look at that. Come on, focus. There we go. I'm really happy with that. Okay, so what we're going to do is, now we're going to fill in all the red, almost all the way to the top. Then we'll go back and do the yellow all the way to the top, and then we'll do the finishing touches with the red with the highlighting. Okay? It's a piece of cake. You just got to pace yourself. It's kind of like what I didn't used to do in school, is create a rough draft. I never did rough draft stuff. Why would I want to write something twice, right? But you're doing a rough draft on your painting. So you don't spend 12 hours doing this. It really doesn't take long, but you do need to kind of pace yourself so that you get the proportions right. So break it down into basic shapes and get the proportions right. All right, so we're going to paint around this, because this allows it to pop. And I love doing shields. I really do. I like painting anything that's going to catch your eye. So faces, horses, all that kind of stuff. Stuff that's just like, sheaths for swords, stuff like that. That's just a side job I'm not really interested in. You know, it's not like I'm not going to paint it. It's just I don't get excited about painting stuff that's not the main attraction. Okay, so this is after one coat. Okay, so now we're going to fill in some more. Let me read this before I dive back in. Looks great from here. Painting shields are more fun than using transfers. Yeah, the transfers are just... I haven't used any of the water slide ones on miniatures. But those Little Big Man Studios ones, even though they're gorgeous, they're nerve-wracking to use because you're going in blind. I've done several of them here on my show, and you don't know what you're going to get. It's a little nerve-wracking, and they're not adjustable. So it's nerve-wracking because I don't expect to have that kind of challenge or stress thrown on me on something I've been doing for over 35 years. You know, I'm not expecting that kind of challenge, that kind of stress. Because this is extremely forgiving. Extremely. You know, if something happens and I botch this up, I can fix it up. Here's it is with another runner red. Bring it one more, which is to this pure color, and then we'll go in and do the yellow. This is extremely forgiving. Now we'll come back into the yellow. Nordic Maelstrom. Yeah, that's a good name. Maybe it was folk. I forget what it was. You have this one guy who's from Finland. I don't know what his name is because his name's like 30-something letters wrong. And he's got some good stuff on there on YouTube. And it's no vocals, which is, you know, I like no vocals because then the song can be about whatever the hell you want the song to be about, right? I can't tell you how many things I've heard and I'm like, man, I just wish there weren't any vocals in it. I don't really care for music where everybody's competing for attention. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you know, if you've got something like you know, and music is probably even more susceptible to individual taste than even things on the menu. But I don't really care for music where everybody's trying to compete for the attention of the listener. You know, drums should be in the background. You know, they shouldn't be like trying to get in the forefront and fighting for attention with the vocalist, and you know, it just gets too chaotic for me. I don't enjoy things that are too chaotic. So not having a vocalist, that's one less thing that can go sideways, you know. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff on YouTube, music wise. I must have been painting my Irish, that's what it was. Okay, that's with a little bit of yellow on there. Getting that to pop. Thanks. I was inspired by the Poe story Descent into the Maelstrom. I don't know that I've heard that one. That's his name. Antti Martikainen. He does a thing that's like a 7-part on Finland, Kalevala or something like that. And that's freaking. I mean, first of all, it's the visuals that it's set to is gorgeous, and but that's a kick ass thing, Johan. That's a kick ass thing. I like that stuff. There needs to be more stuff like that. Yeah, that's kick ass. I've listened to that at least 10 times. Yeah, he does stuff for. I don't know how that guy makes his money because I mean, he's doing professional stuff. I don't know if he's playing all the instruments or organizing it. It doesn't matter. He does great work. Yeah, that Kalevala thing kicks ass, and there's several other things like that. That's just the only one that sticks in my mind, which one's that I really really liked. And I'm sure like that. There's lots of other things. There's probably I don't know Dracula type music that's the equivalent of that. I should go look for that. Yeah, I think we just add a little bit of white, and we're done with this color here. Maybe I'll grab one of these really annoying yellows. Annoying because it's not useful for much. This the one I'm thinking of? Ice yellow. Nice to see some RT love. I don't know how somebody could listen to that and not like it. I really don't. I really don't understand how you could listen to that and not like it. I love that kind of stuff. It's the vocals that turns me off, or when it gets a little too Metallica, where it goes. I don't know. I know what I when it when the drums are too prominent. I don't care for when things are like that. But usually the vocals are what turns me off from stuff, especially as I've gotten older. I know my brother says he wants me to go to an Iron Maiden concert next year. Well, it's actually this year now, and we'll see if that goes off. I used to be a big fan of them, but I don't really care for the vocals. But we'll see if that goes off or not. But yeah, that stuff that's on YouTube, like his work, there's some awesome stuff out there. That's my kind of stuff right there. That rap and hip hop, you can have that. I can't listen to that for a second. Okay, like I said, music is very, even more than food, very susceptible to your own interest. I'm not saying it, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, I think that's as far as we're going to go. Let's bring the red in. Bring out your red. Dong. Yeah. All right, we're going to use the same color, which we've already used. And we're going to take some of this yellow. I don't mind if it's a little paley. Let's grab some of this. It start turning too pinkish. It doesn't matter, man. Things happen and it's going to fade in the sun. Let's get this edge in. No, too goopy. Come on. I'm picking up some fibers from this. We don't want to paint with fibers. That just means we got to fix things. We don't have time to fix things. We got to do things right the first time. Really unsatisfying not doing things right the first time. Just a tiny little bit here. All right, we're going to call this one done. See if we can get a good look at that. I'll rinse this thing out. All right, so what's left to do on this dude? We did the hair. We got some reins to do here and some hooves, and we call this guy done. See, look, I got a little bit of black there on, a little bit of red on that green. Let's fix that up now before we forget it. What did I miss? Fond of Viking and Germanic pagan folk music. The instruments used really take me back in time. Can't say that I listen to any of that stuff. Have to look for it. Have to paint some Vikings to get into that. Another army everybody has. Again, if my ancestry was Viking, I wouldn't care if other people had that army. I'd still build it, but I don't think my ancestry is Viking, but Gothic maybe. Visigoth in me, no doubt. No doubt. Some of that. I like those Viking fonts and stuff like that. Which reminds me, I never did finish that series Vikings. I don't know, is it over with? I made it all the way to the part where they go on, they raid Paris. And I'm maybe 2 episodes past that. So I need to find my spot again. But there's so much of it that I just was just bored. You know, just too boring. I don't know. It was a lot of the same things. So there's several of those shows that are like, they're pretty decent, and then you're just like, you don't like somebody who they did for the cast, and then you're like, oh, I got to deal with this person again. I don't want to, I don't want to watch them on film. And I think Vikings was one of those. I didn't care for the main guy. Didn't care what happened to him. Same for, what is it? The Last Kingdom? I didn't like the main guy in The Last Kingdom. He was a little too, I didn't care for him. So it's hard to stay with those things when you don't appreciate who's going to be on film all the time or in front of the camera. It's okay. They didn't make it for me. That stuff keeps me from painting anyways. So, I can't watch things and paint. So, yes, finding thematic music to vibe with an army hurts when you're trying to do something not really mainstream. I believe it's over. I haven't finished watching either. I think I have the last 2 seasons to watch. Yeah, I don't remember where I left off. Yeah. My favorite scene in the entire thing is, my favorite wargaming scene in the whole thing was that one scene, I want to say it's on season 1, where they go on a raid. They go on a raid in England, on England, and the English king or whatever had defended, and he was defending like this coastline, and he split his army in 2, and then the Vikings took their whole army and went one way, and the king's like, they didn't split their army in 2 to fight us all. And I'm like, I turned to Mitch because I was watching it with Mitch at the time, and I'm like, that guy wouldn't be a very good DBA player, If somebody splits your forces, hit one side, crush them in detail, not. Who made that guy king? Moron. I think that was on season 1. That was very memorable. It wasn't necessarily a bad series. I mean, I did watch quite a bit of it. It's just, after a while, it's like, okay, and you need to mix it up a little bit. But that's common for me in a lot of things. It's not that I have a short attention span. It's just that I'd rather do a lot more things than just watch television. You know. And I can't have TV playing while I'm doing this. Otherwise, I'd do that. Because what'll happen is, and I've tried it. I got a big TV right here. I could turn it on, and as soon as I see something interesting, I'll be like looking at it, and then the next thing you know, 5 minutes go by, and I oh shit, my paint's dried on my brush, and I gotta resurface. I gotta resurface the brush, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it for me. So I can't watch things that I've never seen before and have them play in the background, or it'll damage my painting ability. I'd rather read the books than watch The Last Kingdom. Maybe they're available on Audible. I need to see that. That's how I get through books. Is Audible. Otherwise, again, I have to sit down and read. I can't paint. So, and it's not that, I need to paint over anything else. It's just this takes a long time. And in order to get it done, you need to sit down and do it. Everybody's always looking for shortcuts. How do you make a shortcut to paint faster? Well, my shortcut is painting more often. I'm not going to be using a dip method or anything like that. I'm going to be painting like this. It makes me happy. I'm really happy with how it turns out. But it is time consuming. But it's not stressful. I mean, this is stress relieving, if anything. But it takes time. And about the only thing I can do is do this. Interact with you guys to a certain degree. You know, even if it's questions about the game or something else, it still keeps me engaged. And doing the video process forces me to stick with this for a little bit of time. If I wasn't videoing after 20 minutes, I might get bored and stop. Now I don't want to leave you guys hanging. You know, I understand you guys might be doing your hobby while you're watching. I'm sure you are. That's what I do. I used to watch people or have them in the background while I was working on my hobby. And something I don't do much of anymore because I'm making my own videos, but there's one gentleman that, I don't know that he got me into doing this, but I realized if he could do what he's doing and stay on track, I could probably do it. And this is a guy who's, I don't know if he'd be any fun to game with, but he's really calming to listen to. And but I haven't watched him in a long time because I've been, the only time I'm watching YouTube is I'm making stuff on it for the most part. But anybody can do this. And I use it as a tool to stay on track with my painting stuff and interact with some of you guys. And, it's a lot of fun. I mean, the games, I don't want to play games and not film them. There's just too many interesting things that happen that are just unbelievable if you were to tell them. They're just unbelievable odds type things, What are the odds of it happened, So I really don't want to play games. I really don't want to play games anymore and them not being filmed just because there's some just crazy stuff to do. And I personally enjoy talking out loud about what I'm thinking and why. I don't know. I'm not that interested in pulling one over on somebody. It's not like it's a real war or something like that. And I've played against these people hundreds of times, so it's fun narrating kind of what I'm planning on doing and why. It's enjoyable, so. I've played games with people that don't want to disclose anything. They'll know how to play the game and they're teaching somebody new and they don't want to give them all the information so they can use it on them later on. It just seems like that's the way it is. And it's like, that's just a bit too nefarious, Cat Roger. Hopefully you're into cats. Love your painting style. Just found your channel lately. Subscribed. Started looking back on previous streams. Masses of 15mm biblicals to cheers. To cheers, Patty. Well, thanks for coming by. It's never too late. Ooh, biblical period. Respectable. My least favorite period. I went into detail the other day why that was. That doesn't mean I'm not painting another Book One army. On the contrary, I love the basing. This Middle Eastern-esque type basing. It really makes the figures pop. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing more Book One armies. They're just not. It might be a couple years. I've got other things that are more prominent. I've got Assyrians to do, and you guys don't really need to see another Assyrian army, do you? I mean, everybody's got them. But you have to invent too many things out of nowhere. The way I look at it is, if you got to paint an army, you got to paint it like they're going to be facing somebody else, and you need to be able to tell them apart. So you need to make them different, but but not crazy. So I did enjoy how they turned out. My Amorites, very happy with them. And I enjoy painting the armies that are kind of a bunch of nobodies. I mean, anybody can paint nobles and stuff with heraldry and stuff like that, but when you're trying to create something interesting out of figures that are just less than extraordinary, I like that challenge. I like that challenge, and that happened with the Irish, the Amorites. This army, to a degree, is going to be that way. All of the skirmishers in this army are going to be a bunch of nobodies that are wearing undyed linen type stuff. I mean, these guys are technically nobles, so you know they still they've got some colorful clothing, you know, but for the most part, the rest of this army is going to be very drab. And that's one of the draws for me doing the pre-feudal Scots, because the pre-feudal Scots will have a lot of guys that are drab as well. I guess I should drink scotch while I'm painting them. I know it hadn't been invented yet, but kind of taking a liking to that. No, I'm kidding, of course, because alcohol and painting don't really mix. I just don't care about painting. It just doesn't matter to me then if I finish or not. If you paint a chariot red, does it go faster? I don't know. I haven't painted a red chariot. Although Chinese army definitely would be a candidate for that. Okay, and we got like a belt to do, and then this fellow is done. Let's not overthink this. Let's use this brown that's already out here. Yeah, I've been at this, what is it now? Almost 2 years. No, maybe even longer than that. Well, almost 2 years live. That's what I should count, because you got to have a certain number of followers before you get allowed to go live, but it's great for, I don't mind sharing what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and you guys are helping me out watching and interacting, and I could have more viewers if I had more controversial material, but I'm not here for controversy, if you're happy how you do things, hey, keep doing them that way. I'm not here to convert anybody. And likewise, leave me the hell alone. There's people like, I mean, I prime in black. Other people want to prime in white. That's fine. Keep priming in white. I don't care if you do things the way I do them. I just do them because they work for me. If you're happy with what you're doing, by all means, keep doing it. Last thing you need to do is add stress to this hobby that's supposed to be doing anything but that. A stress relieving hobby, not stress causing. I feel like we need to do the horse. We need to bring the horse tails up a little bit more, and then we should be done. Just a little bit of highlighting. I don't know. When you add that spray, it seals everything. Things look so much better. It adds like an extra layer of depth that wasn't there before. It's magic. All right. We're going to call this guy done. This guy. All right. There's another shield that I saw. This one's light blue. I think it's yellow as well. Has a yellow stripe. Similar thing. Yeah, but it goes in the opposite direction. And it looks like it has a star and a moon, so that's what we're going to go with on this guy. This is just inspiration. Uh-oh. Ended up making a fictional civilization after failing to find Sumerian successor miniatures I like. So I tossed in some other nation's mini into the mix. Well, I like to mix and match myself. Yeah. Old Warhammer joke. The orcs believed if their vehicles were painted red, they'd go faster. I've never played Warhammer, believe it or not. It made the Amorites interesting. The chariots were cool. The choice you use in your painting of miniatures is very good. And yes, most of biblical will be sand-based. Yeah. I think that makes them. I think it makes them stand out nicely. Let's realize scale model building. I find the building process to be a stress reliever. Yeah, back when I used to do that, I would always encounter a problem, and I'd stop the model halfway. I used to do 1/35th scale armor, among other things, but mostly 1/35th scale armor. World War II. I'm a World War II nut at heart. I always encounter some kind of a problem that would lead me into analysis paralysis. This is in the early 90s. And I would just like go buy another kit. So I would have all kinds of kits half finished. Very few things finished. For every one I finished, I'd have 15 not finished. It was just really unsatisfactory. So I'm going to try not to fall into that trap again. And I do really well with the not buying stuff I don't need. Because I've done it so many times. I've purchased so many things in my younger years that I was dying to see what it looked like. So, I think the internet is really good for a standpoint of being able to see what you're going to get. But also for me, and I mentioned this, I think last week, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I don't order something to see what it looks like because I already know what it looks like because there's pictures of it on the internet. So I don't know, it keeps me from, there's that curiosity's gone, you know. I have really good self-control as far as, buying stuff. Now, if I'm working on these Wallachians and I see some figures that would look really well in the army and I've already started on them, I might go and, get a pack of them or something like that. But I'm not going to be like, oh, there's a new Carolingian army. I got to get them. No, I'm good. I'm good on the self-control department. So we're going to do the same thing. Most of this shield is going to be in this light blue. And we're going to mix black in it and cover the whole thing. So that's what we're doing. We're going to preamble what we're doing and why. I almost want to say I want to use a darker blue than that. But let's see. Maybe there's one has a little bit more depth. Maybe I should mix my own blue. How about that? What if I add... This is a little bit more what I'm looking for. All right. You're building 1/35th scale King Tiger tank with full interior. It has been a challenge so far. Yeah. Now you go back and look at the 1/35th scale stuff. You're like, I don't remember Tamiya used to, or what is it? I used to call it Tamiya, but I guess it was Tamiya. Tamiya used to make, didn't used to make that. Shit, it's been 30 years since, 30 years? It's been 30 years since I've had that in the forefront. One of my favorite dioramas ever, still, in their catalog. Tamiya used to have, I think it was Tamiya, used to have this diorama, and it was this scene that was like the Germans retreat after Kursk, and there was like a bridge that covered the entire diorama. The diorama was probably, I don't know, 3 foot long or something like that. And it had this bridge that had a Krupp-Protz truck and a Panzer IV G on it, and a couple other things, wagons, and you know, people moving backwards across it and forwards, and kind of a traffic jam kind of a situation. And I remember really liking, and I still have a picture of it somewhere. I still don't have that catalog, but and it always would struck me because they didn't make, at the time they didn't make it. It was in the Tamiya catalog, like towards the back, but the tank that was in it, they didn't make a Panzer IV G. It was a, or maybe it was an F2. I forget which one it was. I don't remember if it had the bulbous nose on it. Anyways, it ended up being an Italieri kit, but in the Tamiya catalog. But I remember that diorama very well. And you know, back then there was no internet, so you had to be inspired by maybe something you saw. And I always was a big fan of the Eastern Front. Always liked the stuff that was on the Eastern Front. So yeah, we're going to use this one because it gives me a little bit more room to lighten it. If I start lightening in this one, it starts looking a little too white. Oh, gotta mix your colors well before you do that. Extra water. I might just coat this thing completely with this. I had a Panzer, let's see, kits that I finished. I had a Panzer IV-D with the turret basket because it looks stupid without a turret basket. There's just some things, oh, I keep mentioning this. There's some things that when you're doing something for wargaming purposes or diorama building, whatever, that even though they were correct in real life, they just don't look right. And the one example I always use, if you're building, you know, Commonwealth vehicles for Northwest Europe in 1944, they would have the little American star identification on the top of the vehicle. It just doesn't look right to me. I don't care if they did it or not. I'm not putting an American star on a British vehicle. It just doesn't look right, you know. This kit's from a Chinese company that is relatively new called Tacom. Tamiya makes some lovely kits that go together perfectly. They do. You get spoiled by that. I've yet to catch up on your Wallachian project. Do you have a Vlad command base? Are they going to be fighting Hungarians as well as Ottomans? Yes. Yes, they are. And definitely. And we're going to have some Polish allies for them. Actually, the Polish allies are the Moldavian. So I'm going to have a Wallachian command stand and a Moldavian command stand. So we'll have Vlad on one, and then we'll have the other one with guys with the bull thing for the Moldavians. The Moldavian allies are the Poles, and the Wallachians have Hungarian allies also. Plus, they can fight the Hungarians and of course the Ottomans. Of course, according to the Book of Barker, they have those allies. So I don't. There's errors in the armies and enemies list. Like, for instance, the feudal... I think that in the old list, the feudal Spanish did not... the feudal Spanish did not fight the Almoravids in the list. I don't know if they corrected that in the second one, but I don't care. I mean, if it's, if it's obvious, they still end up fighting them, History doesn't, a book doesn't overtake history, Okay, so this one is going to be from the opposite corner, and we're going to use this same brown here for the yellow. I ended up getting, it had been so many years since I'd done models, I didn't have any of the Weld cement left. So I bought some within the last year and never realized how strong some of this cement smelled. Because everything I'm doing has no smell. I mean, these paints have zero smell. But when you use something like the Weld cement, which is what I like to use, it smells strong compared to, you know, anything else. But where is this stuff? They had a new product that I picked up as well, because I was working on. I built a couple of a World War II tanks. I got tons of them to build in 1/72nd scale. I don't have any 1/35th scale stuff anymore, and we'll never get that stuff in again. That's just, I don't see the point in building something and then not playing with it. Life's too short. Where's the stuff that I used to use all the time? Anyways, it was the Tester's Weld cement. And then I picked up this. I picked up the Tamiya Extra Thin, and what I really like about this stuff is the tip. Look how small that is. You can really get in there where you need to. But it smells really, really strong. Hey, I should try huffing that. I swear that didn't exist when I was a kid. Maybe there were kids that did that, but it's freaking poison, dude. Go have a beer. I'm trying to find... Okay, so I have that stuff. And then this other stuff that was state-of-the-art at the time when I was using it, which was in the early 90s. The stuff came from California. And it's like environmentally friendly. And it's the same thing. You just use a brush. And but this stuff actually smells decent. It smells kind of like orange peels. So I use both of these, but I like the Tamiya because of that tip. But this stuff actually smells pleasant. You know, it doesn't smell like you're killing yourself when you break it open. Let's put it that way. So, Use Tamiya Extra Thin cement, and the smell can be overpowering. That tip applicator is, it's amazing. It's really, really amazing. That tip, yeah. Yeah, I'm working on a Russian kit that I got, I don't know, 30 years ago for a JSU. I think you can build a JSU 122, a 152, and another version of the 122. You can build the 122 howitzer, the 122 long gun, and the 152. And I forget which one I'm building. I think it's the 122 long gun. I could be wrong, but it has terrible instructions. It's, you know, it's not to me by any stretch of the imagination, which is like the holy grail on instructions as far as I'm concerned. They really have their act together. Their instructions are almost frameable. They're that nice, and sometimes they've got little illustrations in there and hobby humor. At least I remember they did. But yeah, I do have probably 24 kits, 1/72nd scale, because that's what we were doing for our World War II gaming, is 20 mil, 1/72nd scale. Or somebody mentioned on the miniatures page many moons ago. I haven't been on there in a long time, but a couple things have been mentioned on there. They're very memorable. One of them is the one true scale, 20 millimeter. I always liked it because, you know, when I was growing up, that was, you want to do any kind of gaming, that's the scale that all the tanks were involved in. You could get just about any vehicle you wanted to in that scale. Okay, so we've got a moon up here, and we have a 6-sided star down here. Let's see. Which way is the moon facing? Up, no doubt. Let's put those two things on here. Manufactured by Zvezda. I believe it is. I've got the box somewhere. Well, I'm not going to get on a... It may not be Zvezda. It's a box that after you open it once, it falls apart. It's really poorly made. You avoid Zvezda kits. They seem to be really poor quality. Stick with Tacom and Tamiya. Yeah. I don't know about buying Chinese kits. I think I'd avoid Chinese kits. They're kind of in my band thing. I don't want to buy things from that country. You can if you want, though. I'm not gonna hold it against you. Just I buy stuff from other places. Where is that little? Here we go. This little guy. Yeah, like to me, it was making armor in 1/48 scale. I'm like, when the hell did that happen? Well, it may be going on for 20 years, but I just found out about it. When you get out of the know, it's interesting to see things when you get back in it, what has changed. An example I always use is when I first got into doing other gaming other than DBA, it was around 2004. And at that time, I was buying stuff in 20 millimeter scale from a company called Battlefield Miniatures. It used to be called Drew's Militia, Battlefield Miniatures, Blitz, all that kind of stuff. And they had just come out with a line of Germans and Russians for Stalingrad, specifically for Stalingrad. So why do they have a specific Stalingrad range? Well, you had German guys that had Pepe Shahs and disheveled looking, had guys that are running around with maybe their pants weren't tucked into their jack boots, different varieties of stuff like that. So more irregular looking. And since I'm doing skirmish gaming and I'm literally naming every single character on the stand, I want them to look different. So that is something that I was really looking forward to. So I buy these figures. I buy one pack of each because, I want the variety of figures. And then, 20 years goes by. And maybe it wasn't 2004, something like that. 2000, 2001, something like that. About 20 years goes by. So I go to, about a year ago, to check up where things are, and companies out of business, or they make very few things. I mean, like a 15th of what they used to make. And those figures that had just come out, they don't make them anymore because the molds got shot. So it's just interesting when you leave something alone. Let's see, we just got basic shapes down. Okay, here's the two things that we're going to paint. We got a star down there, and we got a moon. We just have some basic shapes that we're going to start tinkering and filling in now. But, I left this for 20 years, and you come back, and, not only are those companies aren't around anymore, and the molds are shot. So I have things that aren't made anymore. And I literally have done nothing with them. So it's kind of sad to see, something, a miniature or whatever that you really like. Do you think this really top quality? Because I really did think those miniatures are top quality, and they still are by this day. And then you got other things that are just, in my opinion, not worth a damn, and those companies are still cranking along. So I don't know. There was a big controversy, not a big controversy, but there was big fanboys for this one company that I guess they're still around. They're called Britannia Miniatures, and they make a prolific amount of stuff for World War II, 20 millimeter. The problem is every single one of them has the same exact face, and it's a pretty predominant face. So it's not like it's a diminutive face, like say maybe like SHQ. SHQ miniatures are very almost. I don't care for those either, but they're very subtle looking faces. But the Britannia faces are very dominant looking. So it's almost like a face that's made to look like a certain famous person or somebody. But then your entire army, everybody has the same face, including the people you're fighting. So it's just really weird, you know? Well, they make a prolific amount of stuff, or they used to. I think they're still around. But there's people that were big fanboys of that company. I never cared for them at all. They were short-legged and big-headed. Short-legged and big-headed. They were dwarfish looking. We haven't had much choice in 2000 Russia. Most Vezda with historical models of technology of fantasy. Yeah, I hear you on that one. Yeah. I don't know who makes that kit. I want to say it has initials. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Found it. It's not Zvezda. It is, who knows? Who knows who this thing is? It's made in Belarus. Sorry, not Russia. The other Russia. Or is that Ukraine? I know what the difference is. I don't know who the hell makes this thing. But this was pretty close to the... As soon as Belarus got its independence, they started making this kit. That's about how old this thing is. Anyways, instructions are horrid. But definitely not for the unexperienced modeler. But it looks like it's coming out okay. Is it in here as well? We're going to put it somewhere else. Let me put it somewhere else. And here's the pieces parts for it. Track links and stuff. I've got it almost completely put together. Poorly labeled parts. The tank, the vehicle's not tank. Self-propelled gun is somewhere else. But I'm not sure who makes this. So, I knew I had it here on top. I've done a few vehicles, and recently, in the last probably year and a half, and I really like how they turned out. I just don't know if I'm going to get back to World War II gaming. And these are kits that are shameful looking. Well, they were. They're BP cast, and they're resin cast of, I think they're plastic models or something. I don't know what they were, but they had a lot of bubbles and stuff like that. But I think they turned out really, really well. I'm happy with them. And the lighting here is... I got pictures of them on the YouTube channel. But they were really, really rough. But they paint up great. So I'm like, oh, let me build some... This is my way of doing some modeling. I wanted to build some World War II vehicles. Obviously, we use decals for the numbers. Not that I couldn't have hand-painted them. but I had them. I felt like using some microsol and some microset and playing around with that. You sure the video's reversed again? I had to reset it like 3 times, so let's check. Yep. All right, here we go. Yeah, I had trouble. I had a lot of problems this morning. I had to reset the video like 3 times, so of course I missed it once. There's Ben Waddy bringing that in. So these, yeah, they turned out really well, and they're on little magnets. So if I ever transport them, you know, they'll stick and not go flying all over the place. But yeah, I will do some other World War II vehicles at some point. I got lots of infantry. I got about 40 or 50 of them already painted, maybe even more than that. But that JSU still needs a bunch of grab handles and stuff like that to paint up. Okay. What time is it? I got maybe another 10-15 minutes I can stay on here, and then I've got to go do other stuff because we're going to leave. But all right. Yeah, it looks like it's stabilized. I didn't think we were actually going to get a video out today the way it was looking. It was looking bad with all the internet connecting and disconnecting, and this didn't want to work. And I don't know what it is about early Saturday morning. Anytime I've had problems with that, it seems like it's early Saturday morning, which is a terrible time to do it. Well, the bad news is there's not going to be any painting tomorrow. And it's not going to be a really long session today. But if I wasn't going out of town, it really wouldn't matter because the neighbors are having their roof worked on. So we couldn't do a show anyways because there'd be people banging on the roof next door, which is on this side of the house. So hey, it all kind of worked out. So all right, let's get this with a little bit more black and start. So these are the basic shapes we have on here. And then we're going to clean that up and darken it around, do some shading. Let's find a place that's farther away from other colors. Backing myself into a corner here. Maybe we can get this done this morning before we got to cut out. If not, we'll just pick up there. Yeah, but when you leave a period or a scale or something like that, you come back a couple decades later, all kinds of stuff could have changed. Like I said, it's really disappointing seeing that maybe one of your favorite figure manufacturing companies was no longer in business, and all the ones you dislike still are. It's like if you've got that favorite restaurant in town and it closes, all the shitty ones you don't like are still around. Kind of annoying. But I got so much stuff to paint of that I wouldn't need to buy new ones. It's just kind of frustrating. They were some of my favorite 20mm figures. And I think they're still kind of in business. The sculptors kind of started a different company, but I would always buy one of every pack because I wanted the variety of figures. Because like I said, I'm playing a skirmish game, and literally have the figures' names on them. And yeah, here's an example. The basing is so 1990s. Well, that's what it was. It was the 1990s when I painted them. So they just need to be rebased, you know, instead of just, hey, paint it green and then dip it in some flock. So I want individual poses because, you know, everybody's got a different character and values, and that's the kind of World War II gaming I like to do. So we're not doing massive amounts of vehicles or anything. It might be a vehicle or two on a side, but that's what I like to do. I've done the other mass games before. We used to play Command Decision. All those 1 to 5 scale games. We've done it, you know. Flames of War and stuff like that's not geared for me. So I can get my World War II itch playing games, video games or something like that. I don't have to do miniature stuff. Done so much of it in the past, doesn't really, you know. Doesn't really bother me. What rules did I use for World War II skirmish? Well, we were working on our own, which of course was not a good scenario, especially considering the person I was working on with was kind of, they were a bit nomadic. They were in the service. But there was a set of rules that came out around 2001 called The Face of Battle. And again, they're not in publication either anymore. And they were really close to what we were building, the rule set that we were doing. So we played that for a bit, but unlike DBA, you know, you could play a session, not get anything done, and you needed a place to leave things set up, and it just wasn't a good combination of factors when that was going on. If Mitch was around back then, or somebody who's, you know, was available like Mitch, it would be a little different, but it's a whole lot of it's a big time commitment, and I'm just to the point where I don't want to read and learn new rules. It's just too much trouble. Maybe this game just spoiled me, but I enjoy just being able to just sit down and start rolling dice. Would I wish the game had more detail? Absolutely. But I don't want to sit there and, you know, not get games done in the process of it. So reading rules is not relaxing. This is relaxing. So let's bring this yellow up. Let's bring this yellow up. We may need to shift to the smaller brush here. I do not enjoy reading rules and then rereading them and then getting them wrong, and a lot of rules just aren't organized the way you'd organize them. There's a set of rules I've had now for about 3 or 4 years. I've even painted stuff for it and just never. I actually tried to read them the other night, and I just can't get into it. And they're for modern naval warfare. It's supposedly a really easy set of rules called shipwreck, and just can't wrap my head around them. I'm just one of those people that I need to play the game before I can attempt to read the rules and kind of wrap my head around. I guess the reality is I just don't want to play it badly enough. When I was younger, if you wanted to play a certain period, you had to learn the rules. Now you just play a video game of that period. We did it because we had to. Now we have other options. Maybe that's what the difference is. We didn't have a choice before. Oh, this one's painting a lot faster than the other one. All right, let's bring this up one. Actually, there's a little fiber. Yeah, I was actually thinking about getting an airbrush, for doing some of those models and stuff, but man, it just felt dirty. It just, you paint quicker, but then you have to spend all the time cleaning up, and then I have to paint in the garage, and the garage is hot, and I'm like, I'd rather just sit here, and yeah, it's going to take a while, and I certainly don't want to buy something and then just not use it. So, I did get talked into buying a really cheap airbrush several years ago, which was, really cheap. I'd used one before, back when I was doing 1/35th scale models, and it was always a pain to clean and keep the paint flowing right, and I went and made the mixture to make your own flow improver, and it still was a cheap airbrush, and all I could get out of it was making those. I spray painted those our mats that we play on, and that's it. I'm probably never going to use it again, but it was at less than $100, including the compressor and everything. It was definitely a cheapo thing. I just wanted to see if it was something that I would be using. I don't want to spend a couple $500 on something and then find out I'm not using it. So, okay, Henikaru, see you around. Enjoy your weekend. Catch you next week. But I don't get frustrated by this taking a long time. I get frustrated when you get ready to say paint something and all of a sudden your airbrush doesn't work, or you ruin something and then you have to start over. That doesn't suit well with my personality type. So we'll just keep going at this slowly. And I just know that, as I'm working on this, I'm making constant progress. All right, let's take a look at this. See how we did on this shield here. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so we got, of course, stirrups to do on this guy. Let's go ahead and knock those out. Yeah, so the whole backwards video, what I was using before I was going through my computer, I never had to reverse it, ever. Never. So, the reversing thing's kind of new. When I'm shooting game videos, I don't have to reverse it. It's just because of going through this, whatever this camera that plays through, have the multiple views, that I have to have the thing reversed. And it's only on the phone portion, because obviously the computer portion is not reversed. So it still catches me off guard, and I did fix it, I think, twice this morning. But still, the last time I could get it, I got thrown off my game by this thing disconnecting so many damn times. It looks like it's finally simmered the hell down. The gremlins finally went to sleep. All right, we got the horse's rein to put on there. We're gonna use brown for that one. Why not? Do a little different. Mix it up some. So when I'm done with this guy, which is really shortly, the only thing I got left to do is one single figure, and my light horse are done. And where is he? He's the guy that's different. He's got a sword up in the air, and you know. And then we'll base these guys. If you compare the amount of detail that these figures have compared to, say, like my Irish light horse, which are barefoot, no headgear, hardly anything on the horse. Yeah, they take a lot longer to paint. You know. So that is part of the issue right here. I just hear them on the roof. Kind of early for them to be making noise. I mean, I'm up, but neighbors aren't going to appreciate that if they're working on a roof at this time. This guy needs a feather in his hat. I'm going to default to white. Don't want to get too crazy. Even with this army of I'd say a pretty late period. There's still a lot of things you just have to invent. There's still a lot of stuff that's just left to you as the creator, just coming out of nowhere with. Some kind of a symbol on his hat here. We're going to go with that in bronze. Okay. We have a tiny little bit of the sword scabbard showing. I'm going to go ahead and do the belt in the same color. And they're probably tied together anyways. I like how the people are trying to nail ever so quietly on the roof. They had all week to work. This is actually the weather you want to be out there doing that kind of stuff in. What is it? 40? 40 something? 50? Oh, 39. It got even colder. Yeah. If I'm going to work outside, that's the kind of weather I want it to be. Not 70 or 80 degrees. It's too hot. You guys hear that? The subtle nailing. We're about done with this anyways. We have to shut down, so you won't be tortured by that too much. You hear that? That's the sound of Mexican woodpeckers. It's a good thing I don't sleep in. I'd be pissed off. You know, we live in a neighborhood here, so you shouldn't be making those kind of noises till about 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't care. I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning, but that pissed me off if I was one of them people that slept in. let's add a little bit of white to this. Yeah, when I came home yesterday, I saw they had all kinds of stuff on the roof next door. I'm like, oh, that's going to interfere with my painting. But at the time, I didn't think I was going to go out of town, so it actually should work out okay. You shouldn't have to be tortured by this more than maybe another 10 minutes. Okay, and now we have some hooves to do. We're not going to put socks on this one. And where's the hoof color? Right here. I think when we come back to this, we'll have to switch up this piece of paper. Because there's not a whole lot of room and it's getting kind of moldy in a few places, so. It's been enclosed for a long time. Thought that was about the same color. So can you do some highlighting on his hair, and that's it. And this clown's done. Okay. Okay, we'll call this guy wrap 2. So we got this guy completely done, and this guy completely done this morning. Take a look at the shields there. You gotta turn the opposite of how I want to. That one's good. There we go. Okay, there you have it, folks. All right, well, until next time, we'll catch you guys. Happy painting, and that's out for this week. So, like I said, I'll be out of town tomorrow, so no more painting this week. But maybe we can do some midweek. We'll see how that works out. No gaming on Monday or Tuesday. Not sure if there's availability later in the week because Mitch isn't available. So we will see. Until next time, thanks for stopping by, folks. And as always, happy painting, happy gaming, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. See ya.